Hello everybody and welcome back to more political chatter. In this video we will be talking about Donald Trump's easiest path to victory in the 2024 presidential election. Of course, something that all presidential candidates take into consideration every election cycle is their path to victory. Of course, in 2020, Joe Biden focused primarily on rebuilding that blue wall, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Now, while he was successful in Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, without the blue wall, he wouldn't have won the election. So the path to victory for presidential candidates is a very important factor that all candidates, take part in, considering our electoral college. You of course won't want to focus on on low populated urban states if you're a Democrat or a Republican, like Montana or North Dakota or South Dakota or Nebraska or Wyoming, because the Republicans are going to win it regardless, and it wouldn't be worth spending time, money, or resources in a state that won't flip for such few electoral votes. Now, in such historically close states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, Biden won them by 0.6, 2.8, and 1.2 respectively, and they were all decided by less than a point in 2020. That is a region, considering that you have a combined 46 electoral votes here, you definitely would want to invest in an area like this that could easily flip or stay with the Democrats, that could easily vote your way if you put the time, resources, and money into it, and it brings great electoral value. 270 electoral votes are needed to win. In 2020, Joe Biden won with 306, 36 more than he needed. And as I said, the combined electoral votes in the blue wall are 46. So again, he wouldn't have won the election without focusing on these three states. But that does not mean the blue wall isn't everything. That does not mean that in this video we're talking about Donald Trump's easiest path to 270 electoral votes. That doesn't just mean rebuilding the blue wall. There are other important states. In 2020, Arizona was decided by 0.3%. Georgia was decided by 0.2. These are razor-thin margins. I mean, these are practically split 50-50. It was 49.47 to 49.24. That is just about dead even in a state like Georgia and Arizona as well. So, with that being said, let's get into this political analysis of Donald Trump's easiest path to victory in 2024. That means his easiest path to getting 270 electoral votes, the amount needed to win. Now, starting with his states that we know he is going to win, these are what we call safe states. These are states decided by more than a 15% margin, and these will go for both Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So that would be Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Nebraska's 3rd District, Nebraska at-large, and Nebraska's 1st District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Indiana, West Virginia, and that is where we will start. And then as for Joe Biden, the states that we know are going to him, there's no possibility of Trump winning. That's Hawaii, California, Oregon, Washington, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, and Maine's 1st District, Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey. Now, I know there is and DC. I know there is a lot of talk in the Trump campaign and among many Trump supporters of investing in the state of New York, considering how many electoral votes they have, and looking at how close it was in 2022. If we pull up the gubernatorial election last year in 2022, let's see, can we get it? Here we go. Hopefully, maybe not. Yeah, unfortunately it hasn't updated. But anyway, New York was decided by a 5% margin back in 2022 in the gubernatorial election. So a lot of people from the Trump campaign do think that they could be competitive in the state of New York. I really don't see that. I think that New York is going for Biden either way, as well as the state of Illinois. I forgot that one. So these are the states where we know for certain how they're going to go. That puts Joe Biden at 181 electoral votes, Donald Trump at 113. So looking at Donald Trump's easiest path to victory, this, I'll just say now, would include every state that he won in 2020. In 2020, he won 232 electoral votes, and Joe Biden won 306. So he doesn't want to lose any of the ground that he took back in 2020. In order to win, he would have to gain on his ground that he took in 2020. He would have to, increase his vote share in a lot of these states and really gain some ground from his 2020 performance. So that means that he would have to win Maine's 2nd District, Iowa, Ohio, Texas, Alaska, South Carolina, and as well as the state of Florida. I don't think that these states come as a huge surprise to very many. As I said, Maine 2nd, Iowa, Ohio, South Carolina, North Carolina. These are all states that went pretty, not solidly, but he won by healthy margins, I'll say, back in 2020. North Carolina was very close, but I do think that Donald Trump's easiest path to 270 would be winning the state of North Carolina. The Biden campaign is funding heavily in this state, but that does not mean that Donald Trump should just shy away from the state. I mean, this is a Republican state. He won it in 2016 and 2020. So I think that he won't have a hugely difficult time winning in North Carolina, and getting to 270, that would have to include the state of North Carolina, as well as Alaska, as I said before. Texas, very importantly, I mean, it went to him by 5.6. It's obviously, going to go to him in 2024. As well as the state of Florida. This state went to him by 3.4% in 2020, and polls are, really astonishing in this state, as well as many other states. But Donald Trump just leads by so much, by 7, by 6, by 11. So these are some likely margin wins for Trump in the state of Florida. So, of course, getting to 270 will include the state of Florida. He is almost certainly going to win the state in November. So that puts Donald Trump at 235, Joe Biden at 181. Now, let's see, there are 3 or 4 states. I'll say 4 states that are typically pretty competitive in presidential elections, but they remain blue. Time and time again, not just presidential elections either. Typically, with the exception of one on this list, Virginia, that did flip red on the gubernatorial level. So these are, when we look at the 4 states, I'll just say it now, that I don't think that Donald Trump should target and really aren't in his path to 270, in the path to victory, are New Mexico, Colorado, Minnesota, and Virginia. Looking back at 2020, New Mexico went to Biden by 10, Colorado by 13, Minnesota by 7, and Virginia by 10. These are really not margins that Trump can really work with. Minnesota, possibly. I've heard that he is trying to target some bluer states like Minnesota and New York and New Jersey. I don't know how successful that is, but these are not really margins where Trump should put time and money and resources in, just to make the margin narrower but still lose the election. These would not be how he gets to 270. If he focuses on these states, that would almost certainly, especially considering the little cash that Donald Trump's campaign currently has, that would almost definitely mean losing more important states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. So those 4 states, Trump should just let Biden have them. These states would not be in his path to victory. I also think that New Hampshire and Maine at large will both be close in 2024, but I really don't think that they are winnable for Trump and that they would be in his path to victory. Remember, New Hampshire went to Biden by 7.4 back in 2020, and Maine at large went to him by 9.1. And what really makes me say that Trump should not even try to target these states is the fact that he didn't even win them in 2016. Hillary won Maine at large by 2.9%. Hillary Clinton, won New Hampshire by 0.37%. So they weren't even winnable back in 2016 when Trump was able to win states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia, and all the others. So looking at 2024, I really, and then 2020 they became even more blue. I don't think that they are in the realm of possibility that they could go to Trump. I think that New Hampshire is possible, but I don't think that it would necessarily be in his path to victory, especially considering how few electoral votes New Hampshire, which has 4, and Maine at large, which has 2, have. So now we come down to the 6 core swing states. These 6 states are known as the most important states in presidential elections. I also forgot Nebraska's 2nd district. I would say, it went to Biden by 6.6% in 2020. I would not say that as of now it is very competitive. I would give that to Joe Biden. So now we have our 6 final swing states. They make up a combined 77 electoral votes. As of now, Donald Trump has 235 and Joe Biden has 226. So what this question comes down to necessarily is the easiest way that Donald Trump can get to 270 electoral votes. He only needs 35 more to win. So what state combination would, considering their partisan lean, considering which margin they went to Joe Biden by in 2020, and considering polls as well, which way is it easiest for Donald Trump to gain 35 more electoral votes? So, I think that we should start in the state of Wisconsin because looking at the blue wall states, out of the blue wall states, it went to Biden by the narrowest amount, 0.6%, and it went to Trump when he won it in 2016 of the blue wall, the highest amount. It went to him by 0.8, when Michigan went to him by 0.2 and Pennsylvania by 0.7. So it was his, biggest margin win in 2016 and Biden's lowest margin win in 2020. So I would say that Wisconsin, of at least the blue wall states, should be the one that Biden targets most, because time and time again it has proven that it is the most open to voting for Donald Trump. He is the most electable here out of the blue wall states. And as of polls, a lot of polls are saying that Biden wins here. They didn't. They said Biden would win by 8% here in 2020, and he won by 0.6. So I think that Trump is definitely favored here, and that he should focus on winning this state and their 10 electoral votes. So now he only needs 25 more electoral votes to win. One state that I really don't think, and this is where all the, the campaign stuff and the people, the analysts basically working for these presidential campaigns, this is where all that comes into play. Because a state like Nevada, looking at Donald Trump's easiest path to victory in 2024, he should not focus on Nevada. Because, and this will make more sense when we fill in the other states in a moment, but Nevada only has 6 electoral votes. And when you do the math, Nevada won't matter. And again, we're about to get to this, but their 6 electoral votes will not, under any circumstances, put him over the edge. They won't be necessary. He will have 270 electoral votes with a couple more states. Like, what I'm trying to say is that um, I don't know how to explain it, but Nevada does not hold really very much significance at all um, looking at the path to 270. So Nevada, I would think, or I would argue, that Donald Trump should let that be and go to Joe Biden, even though he is looking like he is favored in the state of Nevada. But to get to 270 the easiest, he won't need to focus on Nevada. Now, another state that I don't think that of these remaining 4 states, Donald Trump should focus on winning is Michigan, and that is because of the fact that Biden won it by 2.8% in 2020. That's pretty significant of the blue wall states, considering the fact that Biden won Wisconsin by 0.6 and Pennsylvania by 1.2. So he more than doubled his margin win in Michigan than in Pennsylvania, and let's see, 6, 12, 18, 24, and he more than tripled it, more than quadrupled his margin win in Wisconsin, in Michigan. So the point is, of the blue wall states, Michigan is by far the most Democratic. They tend to vote Democratic the most. They're the most Biden friendly. And there is a very wide protest vote that has gotten a lot of attention in the state of Michigan because of Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war. A lot of progressives unhappy with Biden's handling of the war. But I just don't think that Trump would be able to necessarily win these voters. A lot of these voters will stay home or really bite their tongue and end up voting for Biden. But I don't see really any way that I don't think that Donald Trump should put resources into a state that is, of these remaining states, the least likely to vote for him. That would not be in his path to 270. I also, considering the new polls coming out of the state of Pennsylvania, I don't think that Pennsylvania would be in his path to victory. I just don't. There are 19 electoral votes. Very critical number of electoral votes here. But when you consider these other 2 states, Arizona and Georgia, he has a greater chance of winning Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, and all the others than he does of carrying Pennsylvania with it. So these new polls coming out of Pennsylvania are showing a much narrower race than we were looking at before. Joe Biden has very clearly narrowed this gap here. Why can't I find the state of Pennsylvania? Let's see. There it is. So we see that there are now don't get me wrong, Donald Trump still leads. This is why Donald Trump is in such a good place right now in this state. However, we for the first time, we are seeing some even polls. This is a dead heat race in many of these polls. It is even in this poll, 50-50, even here, even in 3 polls, and Trump leads by 2 or 3 or 4 very narrow margins in the rest. So the polling here in the state of Pennsylvania looks much worse for Donald Trump than it does in a lot of these other states like Georgia or Arizona. When you head over to the state of Georgia, looking at it now, you see that Donald Trump leads by 3 at the least. While polls in Pennsylvania were showing it was even, in Georgia it's showing that he leads by 3, by 5, by 4, by 7%, all the way up to 7%. So I absolutely think that Georgia, especially considering that it went to Biden by just 0.2% in 2020, that would be a state that he would want in his path to victory. Georgia went to Biden by 0.2, Pennsylvania went to him by 1.2, and Michigan went to him by 2.8. Obviously, just by basic logic, the state that voted for Biden by the least, by the smallest margin, would be the most likely to flip to Trump. I also think that Arizona would be in Trump's path to victory, and that puts him right over the edge at 272 electoral votes, right over 270. And that's because when you look at Biden's margin in 2020, just like Georgia, it was extremely narrow, 0.3. And then looking at polls real quick, it is showing a very good race for Donald Trump, from what I remember at least. Arizona, yeah, he leads by 3, 4, all the way up to 8%, and that is really astonishing. So that would also be in his path to victory, and that would put him at 272 electoral votes to Joe Biden's 266. So a narrow election, but the point is, this is the easiest path to victory for Donald Trump. This is the clearest, easiest, most simple way that Donald Trump can cross the finish line, get to 270 electoral votes. He would need all of these states, and I think that that is absolutely doable for him in 2024. Now, what I was talking about with Nevada before, as I was saying, where all the numbers math comes in with the amount of electoral votes from each state. Nevada, and there's 6 electoral votes. Even if Donald Trump won it, it wouldn't matter. I mean, this is why Donald Trump should not spend his resources in a state that wouldn't matter. In his easiest path to 270, he wins with 278 electoral votes if he wins Nevada. But that could, putting money and time could risk losing other states like, Wisconsin or Georgia with more electoral votes. So I do think that that in his easiest path to victory, Donald Trump would mainly focus on the states of Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona. Those would be the 3 states that he flips from 2020 to 2024, blue to red, and that is how he would win the presidency. So thank you all for watching this video. Make sure you all go ahead and subscribe. That helped me out a lot. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.